Captain Dave Folio, Folio, with the City of Scottsdale Fire Department.
And I'm Tiffany Davila, Davila, and I'm the Public Affairs Officer for the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management.
At 1634, we received a call from 13031 East LA Junta Road. So that's spelled LAJUNTA Road. The winds were blowing from 4 to 10 miles an hour at the time, and it was reported just fire out in the brush area. When our first unit arrived, we had approximately 5 to 10 acres that were involved. The assignment was quickly upgraded to a first alarm, and we immediately, we have 3 brush trucks out roaming in the area on patrol. We've had them up for several weeks now. They were able to what we call bump and run several of the structures that were immediately at threat, and we were able to reach out to State Department of Forestry. And Tano also had seen the column of smoke, so they started an engine this way, and we started air support. So we got requested air support. So we started evacuation initially from 128th Street Jomax to Rio Verde Drive, all the way over to we're now to about 160th Street. We currently think we've got about 1,145 people evacuated. We're asking people to continue to stay out of the area. This is an active scene still, and as you saw, I know of 4 to 5 air units that were dropping retardant on the fire, and coming out of Gateway and several other places. I had gotten a few questions of that turnaround. They'll probably answer more of that for you, but Scottsdale Fire, we struck a first alarm, so we had Peoria, we had Chandler, we had Phoenix Fire, we had Scottsdale Fire, Daisy Mountain showed up. Rio Verde, because they're just to the east of us. This fire started in Scottsdale, and it's since moved into more of a county state land further to the east. So Scottsdale Fire sat in a command post, and now we've turned that command post over to the Department of Forestry.
Yep, thank you. So right now, the most current information I have is the fire is approximately 2,500 acres. It was wind driven. Obviously, it's burning quickly, or was burning quickly this afternoon through fine fuels, the grass, brush, just your typical desert vegetation. It was very active on the eastern flank. That's where you were seeing most of that black smoke earlier today. We have about 250 personnel assigned to this fire. That includes a strike team or a task force of engines. So we've got a task force of 8 engines. Additional engines from local cooperators, I'd say about 25 to 30 engines. We have multiple hand crews from the state and our federal partners. And then, of course, our local cooperators are assisting as well.
Do we know a cause? We do not know a cause. The fire is under investigation.
Have any fire or any structures been impacted or destroyed?
We had a report of one structure, but we think it was an outhouse. We have not been able to get into that area yet, and that was reported from air attack.
Any people injured?
We have no reports of anybody injured, and we're also working on an evacuation center right now, which we're trying to get a hold of the Cactus Shadows, which is off of 60th Street and Carefree Highway, 62nd Street and Carefree Highway, so we'll get that information out probably via Twitter. And we're also working with Rio Verde Horse Association, I believe, for equine, the horse needs, and we're also reached out to Westworld in case we have needs where we need to move livestock into Westworld. And we'll send that out further info on Twitter.
And just to kind of go along with the structures, when we're talking about structures threatened, there was immediate threat to structures when this fire first kicked out. There still is a threat to structures at this time. Because we don't have a damage assessment, the fire was just too active. It was producing erratic fire behavior, and we have not been able to get people in there to see how much damage, if any, is in that area.
Can you talk about the fuels that you're battling right now?
So this is just your typical desert vegetation. We're talking about the fine fuel. It dries out very quickly once things start to warm up. It's the grass and the brush. We're about a month behind. So this is the activity that we usually see in May. But because we had all of that winter and spring moisture, we're delayed for our start. So now is really the time we could start seeing an uptick in our fire activity.
Do you know how many buildings, how many homes were evacuated? Do you have a number of how many are in there?
I just have a total of 1,145 people. I'm not sure of how many structures at this time. Like I said, we haven't been able to get in there. I know initially with our first alarm, when we're talking about the bump and run, we train on this, and we've actually done a lot of vegetation and hazard, the 15-foot defensible space, 30-foot defensible space inspections out here where we've knocked on the doors, we put the hanger on the door asking them to clear the brush away. And I know the bump and run, it's basically a hose line with forestry line. It's something that we can maneuver quickly. We can do the defensible space around the structure. We can fight that fire and bump it around, and then we load it quickly and move on to the next structure. So that's how we attacked this fire initially.
I'm not sure if this was mentioned, but the containment of the fire.
There's no containment at this time. We haven't even stopped forward progress of the fire, so we won't have any of that information for quite some time.
Well, here, I know there are a lot of folks out here in Europe that are evacuated, wondering when they might be able to get back to their homes. Is there any update you can give them at this point?
I mean, it's just one of those things that we have to just wait it out. You know, oftentimes people won't see smoke, but that doesn't mean it's safe to send people back into their communities. So we understand it's a struggle for people to be away from their homes for a longer period of time, but we don't like giving people a time frame, because then if we miss that time frame, we just have frustration. So we're just asking people to be, you know, just patient with us. We're doing everything that we can. We have engines out here working structure protection along the south end, the south flank of the fire, and protecting the homes kind of on to the north of us. So we're just asking for the public's patience at this time.
Let me ask you about the aerial assault that you guys did with dispatch. How important is it that you have that in our backyard to be able to do that?
Well, you know, a lot of the VLATs that we were using today and the large air tankers were actually coming out of Gateway. So it was a quick turnaround time for them, about 15-20 minutes to load and return. We did have some aircraft out of Prescott Air Tanker Base and Huachuca also. So we have the aircraft here available at our ready. But you know, it happened to be in this area. Gateway is not that far, so we were really able to utilize a lot of heavy aircraft and put a lot of retardant on this fire.
As we hit the nightfall here, does that help? Does that harm things? Change the way we approach this?
When the temperatures start to cool down, this fire is going to lay down. So the activity will decrease. Cooler temperatures just have that effect on the fire. So the fire may lay down, but something to remind folks that live in this area, especially if you're in Rio Verde, maybe Fountain Hills, fire is going to look larger at night. So just something to keep in mind, that we have crews out here. They will be working throughout the night. There's about 200 and 250 personnel assigned to this fire. So just understand that fire does look larger at night.
Any homes damaged by the slurry that need to be concerned for the residents?
Not to my knowledge, but again, you know, we have our aircraft, our air attack, which is our eyes in the sky, kind of helping us evaluate the situation from that aerial perspective. We haven't reported or haven't had any reports of that yet, but again, it's still too early to tell.
And are we talking about new builds back there, or are these actual homes?
Both. There's a lot of older homes back there, and then there's a lot of new builds.
We could see from our helicopter, and you touched on this a little bit too, but obviously a lot of livestock with a lot of these homes, a lot of horses that we could see from our helicopter. How does that impact your guys' response? And what would the message to residents who have livestock be at this point?
I would say be patient. I know we were getting reports of some of those. We were just moving into larger arenas, kind of giving them that defensible space. So we moved them out of some of the wooden barns areas, and we moved them into the bigger arenas. Be patient. As soon as we're, you know, like I said, this is an active scene. We have no containment on it yet, and just be patient with us. And when we get some information on that, we'll send it out via Twitter and the sites that they're going to set up.
And we will be opening this incident on InstaWeb, so we'll kind of get everything into that platform as far as shelter information, evacuation information, livestock information, so we can push everything from that one point.
Any message to other folks that live in this area on what they could potentially be doing to be proactive if something like this, God forbid, breaks out near them?
First, I just want to say that I want to give kudos to Scottsdale Fire Department. They are one of our most active fire departments when it comes to FireWise. We have a lot of communities in this area that are FireWise certified, so they really hustle throughout the year, as does the state, to bring communities on board and get into that FireWise program. So they're actively involved, making sure neighborhoods and residents are clearing their brush, clearing their vegetation, and working to create that defensible space, because that defensible space provides that barrier between your home and the potential wildfire.
Captain Folio, let me ask you this. How important was it to get that ladder truck out there? You don't typically see that in wildland firefighting, but you had that as a resource to use it.
Yeah, another thing too is I think some of the guys were reporting that we actually use that. We don't take that off road. That ladder truck gives us a high point, so we get an advantage on seeing where the fire is going. We always put out lookouts out there. We try and work in the black. We try and work from the road, a good anchor point. So initially, it's good to get that truck. That was one of our first trucks actually that was in the area on the scene that responded. So it's good to get that up and get a high point advantage on where the fire was going, seeing the different fingers of the fire spreading out. So that was good for us. But we don't use that in any type of wildland or brush fire fighting. So.
Do we know when the first air tanker was called when it was brought?
You know, it was within 30, 45 minutes to an hour of Scottsdale's first response. So Scottsdale got on scene, and they probably called the state asking for aircraft, because the state and the feds are the only ones that can order the aircraft. They can ask us, and then we'll order it for them. So it was a quick response from Scottsdale to get aircraft ordered.
Yeah, so it went out at 16:34, and at 16:49 we requested air support. So, or we requested state to respond to get those in motion.
And then by the time we order the aircraft, then we have to get everyone ready. You know, the aircraft has to get ready, and then so it's probably about 30 minutes after the first response and the initial call from Scottsdale to the state to get aircraft ready to go and launched. Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any other questions?
We did speak to, and you can address the cameras, we did speak to a couple whose animals were still inside the home. Have you guys spoken to anybody who has animals inside the home? Is there an effort to do anything about that? Or what would your advice be?
We're going to tweet something out as soon as we get more information of, like I said, there was talk on the radio listening as I was coming in that some of those horses were being moved into the larger arenas. So they may find them in those larger arenas, and as soon as we get information that we can let people back into their homes to check on their horses and stuff, we'll get that information out. But right now we're asking people just to stay away.
So in this case, it was actually dogs who were still inside the home, and you can address the cameras.
Yeah. Well, you just have to wait as long as they're, you know, a lot of times too, we ask people to just stay in their home because that's the best place to be. So they're probably better off in their home than outside right now. So, and then when we get more information to let them go back and check their pets, we'll do that.
And then one of the things we like to stress to people ahead of time is to just understand the Ready, Set, Go program. Ready, we're in the state we're in now. Everybody's ready. Set is pre-evacuation status. Under that status, you should have a go bag packed. You should know what prescriptions you need, what might be of important documents to you, having your ID, getting your pet ready. If your pet has medication needs, your food, elderly people in your household. So it's really important that people be prepared, have an escape route, because we don't want to wait until it's too late and the trigger's pulled on the evacuation.